So we flipped for it, and I won. I decided Jamie was going to go first.
So I'm going to start with a cover. I think Sophie's, are you going to start with a cover as well?
Sort of.
Better check this shit. We just decided we're going to like tandem it at the last minute instead of like doing, you know, whatever each. So we'll go for it. So this is a poem by the first ever poet to be published by Blood Axe Books, called Ken Smith. He was a Yorkshireman, and he worked as a writer in residence at Wormwood Scrubs prison. Wormwood Scrubs prison gets its name because the plant wormwood grew on the site before the prison was built there. And it's also the main ingredient for absinthe. So, you know, I found it quite interesting. So we'll go for that. Down and more down, down the ladders and down the snakes, and never passing go, never winning the state lottery nor so much as a Christmas raffle, never throwing double six, never dreaming of the winner in the 230 at Cheltenham, never finding sixpence in the plum pudding. There was never any luck that was good. And so down the steps in chains and down the stairs in cuffs and backwards down the up escalator, shackled to the jailer, and at last in a body bag. Down the well, under the cellar, under the basement, under the crypt, under the undercroft, and still some down to go. So here I am, drinking the green absinthe of my wounds, weary from descent, from falling, drinking to get drunk. Enough of it and I'll be crazy and forget everything. I'll be wide open and talking aloud to myself or anyone or no one about the yellow dust, the ragged leaves, the palest green, the serotonin. I dreamed you were not who I thought. You were at the airport opening your passport to another identity, a name I was not familiar with. Jessica Snow. You were who you were before I knew you, you were who you are. Without me, you were who you are anyway. Your look said, but I am always Jessica. Always have been, always will be. You were leaving, going home to your own country, one way without the thought of return to answer old letters and the questions of old lovers, to look through shoes and coats still hanging in the closets, mementos in drawers. You were a stranger in my life, I in yours. Someone I never knew on a long vacation under another name, the one I knew you by. You were a country only visiting mine, in another country I only visited with you. Artemisia, absinthe, yard high and wildly divided, curer of worms and quinsy and the bites of rats and mice, vile and bitter. Beauty's name for solace, opaque, iced, sweetened through silver. I drink to her. To Artemis, destitute of delight.
So I say this is sort of a cover. It's a response to a poem that was drilled in my head when I was doing GCSE poetry. Don't know if anyone ever had to study a poem by Simon Armitage called Kid. And it starts with Batman, big shot when you gave the order. It's basically about Robin, the figure of Robin, being like getting, you know, pushed around by Batman and then eventually going off and doing his own thing. And I thought to myself, poor old Batman, he doesn't get a say in this, he just gets slagged off in the poem. I thought surely he's got something to say about it. So I decided, I thought I'd reimagine Batman, yeah? But he's like working somewhere like KFC or whatever, like doing his thing. And then Robin comes in, yeah, and he like does an order from him. And this is kind of what Batman's got to say to him. And it's called Grown-Ups, question mark. The question mark is very important. Next customer, can I take your order? I see you grew up whilst my time wandered to beer garden bockers, flipping burgers, shadowboxing night in lights out corner, blaming it on my mother and father, blacking out grief took the cape to cover holes you filled when you became my brother. Now you wouldn't catch me in the caper, rerunning envy towards you and her, living crime-free, 2 kids and a motor, whilst headlines read Batman breakdown shocker, Batman looked out, lost red and green clover, no longer the people's saviour, no longer able to shake a black dog off shoulder, wiping tables and takeaway numbers, rescuing staff from road queue jumpers, still a kid, none the wiser, just older, the real Joker, Emotionless pictures sold out and dressed up, bang, pow, grown over. From quicksilver to greasy spoon cooker, a fumble with accounts in the larder, clinging to a closing sign all winter. You enjoy your happy meal, I wonder.
I was kind of wondering if that was like a moustache thing, when it is. So I'm not going to wear it, but you know, at least I know what it is now. I have that kind of eye, you know, if I see something and I'm wondering what it is, I just have to go and have a look. So there's no relevance to this next poem. This next poem was on BBC Radio 4 on Sunday. I was lucky enough to be included in a poetry programme about working class poetics, and I was sat there with my dad. We were listening, you know, obviously put it on like about 10 minutes before all these plums were talking. And my dad's like, are you really going to fucking be on here, son? I'm like, yeah, mate. Blagged it, living the dream. And yeah, but it's only like sort of about 7 months ago that I was ranting at the BBC and asking them about their representation of Midlands voices on their main literary programmes. The BBC subsequently refused my freedom of information request because he said it wasn't in the public's interest. So it's quite funny. So if anyone ever tells you don't rant at anyone, tell them to shut the fuck up, because then the BBC clearly commissioned me. I've been commissioned twice by him since I ranted at him. So always rant. This one's called... Yeah! Exactly. This is called Someone's Left Behind a Sovereign Ring. It goes like this. Just to contextualise it, it's about a pub in the West End of Derby. Derby does have a West End. I don't want you to think it doesn't have one. It was basically a council estate surrounded by 5 pubs where people go to sort their shit out. And I mean every type of shit. This pub was coincidentally called the Victoria, so it's a bit like EastEnders. But it's now a block of flats, which is obviously quite a similar story to a lot of working class pubs in those areas, and this is a homage to that. And the very last line of the poem, I heard it when I was about 14 in there, obviously not underage drinking or anything. And it was when I think England beat Germany about 5-0 or something like that. Stevie Gerrard got a hat-trick, and I heard the last line in there. But at that point in my life, I didn't actually realise I had the licence to be a poet. I was like, there's no way, you know, it wouldn't even come in my fucking head. Poet, like, you're trying to insult me, mate. Yeah, so I kept the line. And obviously it made it into this poem, so I think the reason I want to point that out is that no one gives you a licence to be a poet, you just fucking do it, alright? Yeah, cheers. I see you and you see me, but there are black spots in the corner to the left of the pool table opposite the dartboard, or in that seat by the window, the one in which Stevie glassed that Cockney youth right after he said, I actually liked Thatcher. Or matter-of-factly, good old Stevie saw to him mind. Obviously there's the bogs as well. Both cubicles are guaranteed occupied on a weekend night. The tiles still caked in tar from before the smoking ban. Toilet tops littered with nefarious substances. Fast cat catching, someone's even left behind a sovereign ring. Back at the bar, Murdoch news-reading Muppets are rendered defeated and drank out for the day. The monitor behind the bar details every word of crimes that pay, every utterance of knocked off meat, deli cheese, hex details, engaged consoles, Jordan cheek, with no guarantee. Stevie turns round to Bob, the barman, and says, turn the fucking jukebox up. We can hear ourselves talk. Thank you. Yeah.
Never a dull moment going on road trips with Jamie. My favourite part of tonight was when Jamie decided to open his bottle of beer on train and it fizzed up and went all over the guy sitting next to him. He was very apologetic, to be fair, and he took it really well.
It was nice about
covered his, oh mate, went all in his book. I thought, bloody hell, this could get bad. But anyway, this poem's, so I just thought, you know, might as well say it. This poem's also about a pub in Derby, a pub where I used to work, and it's dedicated to anyone that's ever done a night shift or worked in a pub, you know what it's like. You finish about like 3:30 or even earlier, depending on where you work, and you kind of walk home as the sun's rising, and it's just about that. And I have to say, the pub that I work at occasionally and is called the Hairy Dog, just to give you a picture, and the people that go in there call themselves Hairy Doggers. I did not make up that name. This is called Sometimes the Night. I carry this city on my back. Every smashed window pane, every torn sleeping bag, every boarded up doorway, every bar fight, every want and regret. But sometimes the night and I walk home between broken glass, kicking cans over concrete, burning hand-rolled fags between terraced houses that lean against one another as they hold up sky. Between the crossfire of conversation beneath 5 a.m. streetlights, I pause and I breathe. I can breathe sometimes. The night and I make love behind abandoned flats where the cats sit and cradle dead pigeons and rats, where the overflowing gutter reflects the underabsorbed sky. A puddle of stars blurred by foot and vision lost to sunrise. Sometimes the night clings to my clothes, stinking of whiskey and rain, and God only knows I want this. Only they know. A moment so brief, so fleeting, morning dew. Me and the darkness are just passing through.
So this next one by me is it's an ode to the person you ever see with a black eye who says, "You ought to have seen the other geezer." And it's called Black Eyed on Christmas Eve, and it goes like this. Our man is black-eyed and walking round like everyone done it. Who it was, ask the night, ask the pigeon shit cobbled streets, ask the takeaway, the taxi driver, the half-gnawed kebab. Our man thinks everyone done it. Everyone! Our man has tinsel in his eyes, mince pies in his nostrils. Our man is on a stare-out frenzy, enjoys the looks of confusion penned across the chops of people out on their last-minute Christmas shops. Blokes with tattoos on their necks are best. Because blokes with tattoos on their necks always give you dirty looks for staring at the tattoos on their necks. Our man loves it better than best, feels like shouting aloud, "You ought to have seen the other geezer! You ought to have fucking seen it!" When the truth is, our man didn't even see him.
I feel I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball in the works now. But, you know, we're all about that. I did this in Stockton-upon-Tees last week, and everyone was just looking at me like, what is this girl on? But I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to do it. So when I was a teenager, about 14 or maybe a little bit older, my mate told me that the song by Madonna, Like a Prayer, was about blowjobs. And I believed that up until about last year, where someone told me it wasn't. And I was just thinking, you know, and when you're that age, you know, get influenced by all that sort of stuff, you start watching fruity things on the internet, all that sort of vibe, you know how it is. And it made me think, it's always like, when people are receiving said blowjob, they always seem to be in like the position of power. They always seem to be like, oh, I'm really powerful. And the person giving it is always seen to be like this weak person. When actually, mate, they've got your cock in their mouth. So let's all just prayer. I knelt, but you worshipped. Placed me on carpeted altar, jaws spread like legs on bathroom lino. The only time I heard an atheist cry, "Oh God," and mean it. When I learned Madonna had armpit hair, I began to distrust porn. Said, if you were going to hold my head, it was because I wanted you to. Neither of us came from families that made romantic speeches or went to church. Love was something discovered behind the bins at Morrison's. Came in litres from the corner shops. Something that we were told we weren't old enough to have. So when the time came, I spoke the alphabet and hoped that God or whoever could make up the words. Held your orgasm on the tip of my tongue. In your bedroom, my words were holy.
Yeah. Just to put it out there, like this set is, we've not planned it whatsoever. So we're just sort of like going off each other. And I've not even heard that poem yet. And I'm liking that. But being as we're on the subject of love, I often get criticised a lot about not really writing about very nice things. But, you know, I have written a poem about love. It's called Love. And I thought, you know what I mean? I thought I'll share that one with you, eh? What do you reckon? It goes like this. Sammy the barmaid averts her eyes from the pint of Foster's she's pouring. Drips to tap the floor. Our man tracks her gaze like a football copper scanning faces for banned DLF members at Pride Park Stadium. He zooms in through her retina, watches her watching love, as love heads to the box for a piss and a sniff. Thank you.
Oh, speaking of love, I love Brum. I love Birmingham. It's wicked.
Yeah!
And I just think it's just wicked to come here and like watch you guys perform. It's just bloody lovely. And I studied here many moons ago. And actually, I have to say, the person that's responsible for me doing poetry is in the room, and that's Leon.
Yeah!
I was like reading some like sci-fi thing, and then I read this little poem, like we was at this event together, and he went, "It was alright that, you should do that more." And that was it. So on the theme of love, I'm gonna do this one. And do you remember, I think it was back in March last year, when we had all that snow. It was right mad. There was snow everywhere, man. My mum was going crazy. She went to Asda, bought like 10 tins of beans, that sort of thing. She thought the apocalypse was happening. And when that happened, me and my partner at the time, we went out driving in this Land Rover, and we'd just given it like a 4-inch lift, and we were right excited because it had like outdoor tyres on it and that. And we're going to give it off-road tyres, all tyres are outdoors. Come on, Sophie, get it right. So this is just called Snowdrifting. It's just about taking time to pause. Everyone has complicated pleasures, but me and my baby, we like driving. Wait for the snow to hold the earth still. Wheels walk on frozen water. Dance, elegantly sliding. A Land Rover named Discovery. Countryside blanketed. Sunday spent between sheets. Bedroom extended. We always put this in second. We're always light racing. Drive so fast I fear upturning. You tell me, just roll. No braking. Failed all your GCSEs, you prayer-bent snowdrift. Pushed to the side of the road, still moving. My beautiful risk. But now you paused in grayscale, photographic. Teaching me to be gale-blown, I'm always so anchored. Body burning diesel, minds can't afford it. Minds reversing over matter, you tell me you're so tired. Yet out here, all is frozen. Take me anywhere. No direction. We're not lost. We're going nowhere. Bodies plattered between landscape and sky. You paused the day when you said the night doesn't always have to fall. Sometimes it can fly. Thank you.
Like to sort of echo what Sophie says about Birmingham. It's a city that's been good to me, and it kind of pains me that I had to represent another city ever at anything other than Derby. But it was, it was a pleasure to do that for Birmingham. But it's a city that's been good to me. It's been a pleasure to perform with Roy. Big it up for Roy as well. He just never fails to just get me there. Like in the chest or between the eyes, as he likes to put it. It's amazing.
I love you,
brother. Love you, man. I'm going to do this one. This about there's this idea that obviously poets observe stuff, and we know that often the tradition has been to observe the pastoral or whatever. And me and Matt were talking about that earlier, so I think it made me think about it a little bit. And just to put a different spin on what poets observe, it's called drug deal voyeurism, and it goes like this. Departs the milk 4x4, eyes like a pedestrian crossing, carrier bag bulbous abound with goods, whip stronger than a split, whizzes to hit nostril hairs that stiffen. His face is pranger than the definition of prank. I've never seen so much sweat hang from man. He looks around. What for? Only he knows. If it's CID, well, he ain't going to see those. He marches the cobblestones, quick time on his toes, with his carrier bag full of skunk, blissfully unaware that he's made it into my book. Thank you.
He is available to read at schools and colleges.
I do, I just don't do them poets.
I know. So this is a new one. I'm really interested in freedom and how we find freedom when we're skint and what that means and where we go to find that and what it means to us. And I don't know if anyone's got a motorbike, but I have, and I like it very much.
You call that a motorbike?
Hey, behave yourself.
We call it a plaggy.
It's a 125. It moves. It's small and slow, but I like it. So yeah, it's just about riding, isn't it? So this poem's called "Slip in the Clutch." Her body ripped a hole in the sky, all exhaust mouth and roundabout eyes, hole punched into existence. Single parent child, built in concrete and mortar, learnt to love broken lines. Heartbeat at 50 miles per hour, rev count at 200 BPM. She rode the night again and again. You eat, love? Yeah, I'm fine. A father, all distance, divided by time. Only an inch from the ground until a kiss from the sky. Made body bag of broken glass. Superhero splayed, the closest she came to flight.
I don't think I've actually read this one before, so we'll go for it. Our man of efficacy. Our man robbed Peter to pay Paul, but paid no one. Our man refused to grovel. Fessed up that he'd messed up, got carried away on the session, sniffed the lot. When the cold lead of gumbutt fleeced his spine that January night, his posture fixed upright with expectation. Trepidation didn't come into it. At least one lad behind, two more before his eyes balaclavaed up. Back doors swung open on the transit, flapped like an eagle's wingspan. Our man just stepped in, smiled, gold tooth glistening in the streetlight, For he knew that he was far too useful to kill.
Yeah.